week. How are you guys doing? Does anybody have something that they would be, really art is all about sharing, and it's all about being vulnerable in a way, which is really awkward and difficult sometimes. So I really am hoping somebody will share where they're at, kind of, even if you did the color already. Is anybody, you can share where your line drawing is at. And any of you can, would anybody be willing to do that? Kind of share where you're at? You feel free to speak up. People still tracing. Oh, threw all his stuff away. Okay, so how many of you, oh, fabulous, Brixton. I know you were in pretty good shape last time, right? You got most of that done. Does anybody else have a line drawing done that they could share?
Shy group today, it seems
it'll
like.
It'll be worth 10 million extra credit points for this workshop. 10 million extra credit points. Okay, I would also say this. If I were in 8th grade, I wouldn't want to do it either. But I would say also that I hated speaking in public, but it is very important to take opportunities like this, because every time you do it, or every time you share in public, it gets so much easier. It really does. I remember giving a presentation in grad school where my voice was shaking. I was so nervous, but now I can talk to, I've spoken to a group of 1,000 people. Doesn't matter. So anybody want to take that opportunity? Anybody got something they could share or a question? Juliet.
Mine.
Fabulous. Can you put it a little closer? It's really light. It looks like it's ready to roll in terms of you got it. Did it all transfer effectively?
Yeah, it looks much darker in person.
Really, the key is to just have it as light as possible, that you can see it, right? I almost completely erase mine so that I don't have those lines at the end. That looks great, Juliet. Anybody else got one to share? Way to be brave. Anybody else want to jump in and be a little bit brave? You got anything that you've got it drawn out? Okay. Nobody's feeling that today. So I'm going to show you a little bit about colored pencils and colorations and how to go at this. But I'll go ahead and share mine. I finished mine last night, pretty much. It's like kind of a goofy look on my face. This, I think, is the picture that is sort of the face I make when I trip in the studio and knock over some paint. I was trying to figure out what face is this of mine.
Greg, are you sharing your screen? Because the only thing I see, I pinned you, is just a trace, a partial trace.
It's my screen itself. Can you pin the other one? I don't know why.
Okay.
I'm not able to do any of the controls. I think
okay.
you have them all, which is fine. Can you pin the one where I'm speaking from?
I will try to do that.
Or I can just, well, it doesn't quite fit down there. Here, never mind. Keep it pinned like that. You're fine, Gina.
Oh, okay, good.
I'll move the phone around.
The one that says iPad 2 is the one I'm pinning.
Okay, so here's my piece. I changed the colors. You can see this is my original right here. So the colors I wasn't so into, it was okay, but kind of standard. And so I kicked them up a little bit. And I kicked it up a little bit with that green because I wanted it to feel like it was kind of this sickly time. And I think of that coronavirus as a green thing, right? A green shape. So that's what I did. You can see in here all the different colors and how I drew each one. The background, I just spent a couple hours while I was watching a movie last night and just drew a bunch of lines with markers going across, and then kind of went at it again, going this way with the markers. These are the markers I use. They're really nice. Julia, these are Julia's markers. I think it's like $30 for 100 of them. And Julia did this one day, which was awesome. She got a color chart and checked them all out. So this is really helpful when I was deciding. So you always want to, draw a little bit on a piece of paper so you know exactly what the color is. They say things like concrete, but really, is that concrete? I wouldn't have guessed that. So you have to really see what the color is. So the shirt I handled a little looser. Everything else, though, I really tried to stay true to the photograph. Oops. And hopefully, and I completed it. I got all the way out to the edges on it, right? So what I'd like to show you is kind of how to go at that. And do you guys, you're going to get graded on this project. Yes, you will get karma points. No, there's no grade on this project, as there is ultimately no grade in life, but you try your best on things, hopefully. So does anybody else have one they want to share? Any comments? Any thoughts before we get rolling with the color?
I have a question.
Yes, Samantha.
So are we gonna turn this into school, like after we finish?
I have an answer for that, Greg.
Please.
We are doing a memory book this year instead of a traditional yearbook. And if you want to include this beautiful expressive portrait in the memory book, you would turn it into us. We'll take a picture of it and then return it to you. So it's yours to keep forever. But if you want to have a special thing in the memory book, because most of you signed up to get your, traditional portrait taken, like an 8th grade photo, about 10 of you haven't. The point is that you could put in both your formal picture and your self-portrait in the memory book. That's up to you. I would encourage you to do it because then it's something you have always, and it's in a memory book. So.
And let me speak. Yeah, great question. Let me speak to that for a second also. I'm going to guess that the vast majority of you will never do a project like this again. Maybe, maybe if you come to my class or something, you'll do it. But ultimately, this is an opportunity to go through this process and kind of learn a little bit. And really, taking opportunities when they show up is a really good habit to get into. So although, people are asking about grades and what's it for and what's it required for, it's for you. It's for you to kind of venture and explore and document this time period. It's been a very bizarre year. And, when you're my age, you'll look at this portrait and remember this time period. But if you don't do this portrait, you won't have that to sort of look at. So I really encourage you to do it. Give it your best shot. Nobody feels like they're good enough as artists. Typically, I still struggle with that inner voice, but you just give it a try and do your best. And I'm sure something will come out that you enjoy, that you're happy with. Does everybody have markers or colored pencils with them right now? Okay, so I don't know if I'm able to screen share. I'm just going to screen share for a second. I think I am. And I just want to give you a super quick reminder, and then I'll jump back to the other thing, that this is pretty much the most important part of this feature. Gosh, it's not coming up. Anyway, you can see this value here. I don't know why it's not showing up over here. But before we get started, the colors, if you change them, just make sure they align in the values. So like, I didn't like this pink on my goofy face here. There we go. I changed this pink to green. And I changed this gray to a purple because I thought it was more expressive. I thought these colors were kind of boring. So when I did so, though, I made them the same value. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to hopefully share this one. I'm going to pin this one, And that should be on for everybody. Okay, do you guys all see my hand in here? So let's see. Sorry. So project 4, nobody gets graded. No, you don't have to. Yes, it is mandatory. Hypothetically, it doesn't look good. What would happen? You can start over. Where does the credit go to? It goes into your bank, your artistry bank for your life. I don't know how to say that. Find your own credit in it. Markers or colored pencils. I'm going to show how do you use both. So if you don't complete this, gosh, you guys are really focused on your grades. I'm going to just say, give it a shot, and hopefully you'll enjoy what you're doing. So
Greg, can I share something really quick? I wish I had a picture of it, but I did an art project, a hand drawing in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Which I don't even want to say how long ago, but it was ancient history. I'm an older mom, and I still have it, and it's framed to this day. So that's how meaningful it was. And I never took an art class again. So that's just a little caveat there.
That's a great point, and I have stuff I threw away that I regret for the rest of my life.
So literally, this thing is decades old that I drew in 8th grade, and it even was featured in the yearbook. And my art teacher wrote, "I can't believe you did this." Isn't that great?
That is great. Even though I would have picked a more positive thing to write.
I know.
But yes, and the thing I find with this project in particular is some people who feel like they're utterly and completely not artists do extremely well with it because it's methodical, and you can just kind of roll through it, the process. So I'm going to start by just sharing with you that I have all these markers here. I have these colored pencils, which I'm very fortunate to have. These are the best colored pencils out there to me, in my opinion, these Prismacolors. They're 3 times the cost of most colored pencils. So if you don't have these, it's understandable. I also have a small set of these, like a 10-pack, which would do the trick, right? These are just fine. These are artist pencils. When you go to Target, you're probably not going to get artist stuff. If you really want, good quality colored pencils, you got to go to an art store. So I'm going to start. And does anybody remember where I said to start? What color do you start with first?
The darkest.
Yes, the black. So for all of you who are starting right now, grab your black and let's do that together. I'm going to do a little bit with marker, and I'm going to do a little bit with colored pencil. And I don't know if you can tell, but this is this section of my face. I just traced, this little piece right here. It doesn't fit. I just traced that little piece, so it has some black in it, and then just kind of stopped it over here. But the thing about colored pencils, tell me what you know about colored pencils. Okay, just say anything out loud if you have any experience with the colored pencil. If you have Tabitha, we're going to start this. Hopefully you've done the tracing. If you don't know what you're doing, have you got your tracing done? I see a few of you doing that. So the challenge is you got to finish your tracing. So that's the first step. And then the second step, once it's all traced, is we do the filling in of the color. So that's what I'm going to start right now. So if you don't have the tracing done, then, that's you're one step behind. And I would say just work on the tracing right now and kind of pay attention as we do the coloring. Anybody ever have experience with colored pencils? Like, do you like them? Do you not like them?
This isn't about colored pencils. It's just a quick question about what I did. And
Please.
so in my image that I used, like my hair kind of combined with the background. So you have this huge blob of black.
So should I try to separate it or should I just leave my hair combined with the background?
That's an excellent question. And, you know, there's, I would say that when I had a gentleman come into the studio this weekend, I won't embarrass him by calling him out, but last weekend, and he traced his drawing in my studio, and it had the same situation. One side, it was like a big black shadow. And what we did is we just made up this line where his face ended right here, right? We just kind of drew it in pencil first in the black because he didn't want that big black shape right there. So, so you can kind of hopefully copy from the other side and figure out where maybe your end of your head goes or your end of your hair. Does that make sense?
Yes. But am
Okay.
I allowed to combine it as a big blob or no?
You can. You know, my Julia's decided that she's just doing her face and everything is going to be black, right? So she didn't trace any of the shapes in the back. She's just going to make it all black. And you can decide whichever, you know, whichever one direction you want to go in. Maybe that's what you want to do as well.
Okay.
I thought about that for this one. I thought about, oh, should I just make it all black in the background? And it just seemed a little boring to me, but I've done that many times where I've filled it in black. So any other questions or thoughts or comments?
Yeah, you said you showed it earlier, there was a program that you used to find the colors. Are you going to put that in the chat, like a link to it, or
Well,
like how are we supposed to find our colors?
So great question. So you have three options there in front of you, right? You got a black and white one. You've got two other ones that have different colors on them, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you all got those three. So you can decide which one you want to use as your primary one. Some people copy those exactly and they go, this is the one and I want to transfer and match these colors identically. That's really kind of hard to do. And frankly, it's not even necessary. You know, you can kind of come into the neighborhood and it still looks great. So I would say you choose whichever colors, whichever one you find more appealing, whichever one you're drawn to more. And, you know, the same with mine, you know, I changed some of the colors, right? So I didn't particularly like this sort of grayish color. So I gave it a little bit of a purple tint. And this red is much brighter than this red. But I substituted it and I turned up the color in all of this stuff, right? So that it was just a little more expressive and a little more, you know, a little bright, a little more vibrant. The trick is that you have to just make sure that it matches, the value matches. So I think Maya, I sent you a picture back, didn't I? So I emailed you back the day you sent me that picture. Did it not get to you? Oh no. Yeah, I literally received your email and sent it right back. But let me check about that, Maya. I'm really sorry. That was my bad. I'm gonna
You
make a
can't
note about
send
that.
it to their school email.
Oh,
Yeah, their school email only receives messages from the people at IVA.
mm-hmm.
So
You know, I'm not sure if Maya, good, you didn't use it. Okay, so I've been having trouble with my email a little bit, but let me take a look at that, Maya, right after.
Greg, let
class.
me just ask you, just go ahead and email it to me and I'll get it to the student. Just tell me what is the student's name that needs
It's
again?
Maya
Maya
Lin-
Cummings or Maya Kellamquim?
Kalimquin.
Okay.
Okay, so
Just email it to me at the PTA at
double check what
ivalongbeach.org.
because I remember like getting it from her other email, so I'll shoot it to both of you and see if it gets out there this afternoon. Sorry
Okay.
about that, Maya. Yeah, it was a great picture you sent, by the way, and I thought, yeah, good choice. So you can see what I'm doing here with this black colored pencil if you don't push down hard, you get a gray, right? And that is what 90% of colored pencil drawings look like. They're kind of washed out looking, in my opinion. So the best thing you can go at is to kind of push down and really get saturated color, they call it, right? It's fully saturated, meaning you can't get it any darker. So what I tend to do is start in one place. And again, you want to start with your black at this stage and do all the black. The reason I use the black is usually because it makes your eyes look like they're looking back at you instead of this crazy landscape of all these weird shapes. Suddenly it starts to look a little bit like a face. So, so that's something you can do. On these larger shapes, I'm just having fun. And I go really slowly. You know, I've been drawing for many, many, many years, but I don't want to mess this thing up. I have to go at the same sort of rate that I did when I traced it. Otherwise, I'll go over the lines and it'll start looking weird. So hopefully you guys can sort of follow along those lines. At a certain point, last night, I started going over my colored pencils with markers. Usually I do the exact opposite, but I thought, what does this look like to go over them with markers? And it made them a little bit more solid. So I'm going to show you a little bit about mixing a color now. So there's my black. I'm going to put that one in that reddish color. And I believe I'm going to do it. It's too dark. I'm going to do it with a marker first. And then I'm going to do some colored pencil on top of it. This might be a good option for you if you're not a patient person. You know, using a marker gets it done pretty quick, right? So you can kind of cover some ground with a marker, and it may get frustrating for you with colored pencils.
Oh, so we take the cardstock off of the actual photo?
Take the cardstock. So you will, I'm not quite, can you kind of rephrase that a little bit?
Oh, do you untape the two things?
You can. It doesn't matter once you've traced it and transferred it. You know, I'm just looking at my drawing, but you can take, like I started with this, right? With this guy, whoops, and I traced it with the transfer paper underneath facing down. So this is, you know, what transferred. And then I take this off of the cardstock. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't believe I said that. So you would definitely remove the tracing once you have it sort of ready to trace. You would remove that. Let's see if I can get a little closer here. And there's my part, and I'm just filling in with this marker. Are any of you using markers to do this? Okay.
I'm genuinely confused. I don't understand what we're supposed to be doing here. Why do we have this hard construction paper? What do we need the color pencils for?
So let me, who is that speaking?
Jaden.
Jaden, did you do your tracing, Jaden?
I don't even know what I'm supposed to trace. I don't even know what I'm supposed to trace with.
So were you at the last workshop, buddy?
I couldn't find my pictures the last workshop. I forgot to email you.
Oh, okay. So that's why you're stuck. And so we need to get you a picture.
I already have my picture right here.
To be honest with you, there's not much I can do for you if you don't have the picture at this moment. You know, I think maybe does the process make sense? Like when you saw it, like how we were tracing it and stuff, does that all make sense?
I have the picture right next to me.
Oh, okay.
So you just really quick, you have the art kit, Jaden?
is it that thing with the 3 pictures and the
Yes,
pencil? And,
yes. Uh-huh.
yeah.
You have the kit, you have all the supplies. So I have in the chat put the basic instructions so that Greg can focus on the coloring. But basically he just explained it and showed it again, which is you have your cardstock on the bottom, your carbon paper face down, and then the picture that you've selected out of the 3 on top, and you tape them together, and then you're going to press down hard on your image and trace it, every bit of it. And once that's done, that's what you're going to color on the cardstock.
So Jaden, let me just visually show you that really quickly.
Please do, because I didn't get any of that. That's
Yeah,
impossible.
no worries. And you know, I'm happy if you come into the studio on a Saturday or something, we can knock it out. It took the gentleman who came in last Saturday about 45 minutes, you know, he was done. But here's the steps, Jaden. You've got your picture, right? You choose the one that you like. And underneath that is this paper, right? And so you start by placing your cardstock, your good paper down, and then you want to put your picture on top and tape it. It's kind of hard to see. Let me move my phone a little bit. And you want to tape it here and tape it here at the top of your paper so that this thing can like go like this and be connected to your cardstock. And then just slip this paper in there. You know, you can just slide the transfer paper in there. Is this making sense so far?
No.
Okay, you and I probably need to work separately. Or you can watch the recording. I think it was recorded last week. Did we record that, Gina?
Yeah, you guys did, and it's attached in the email that they sent you yesterday. Near the bottom, it shows you the link to the video on YouTube. So yeah, you can do
Okay.
that if you want to too.
So why don't you go through that, Jaden? It's much, you know, more step by step for this kind of process.
When is it due?
It should be pretty easy. You know, I've done this project with 5th graders. You know, they're not quite so ambitious in the coloring. We did monochromatic ones, but the transferring process is not a terribly complex one. So, so what I've done here is I'm just going to continue with the coloring a little bit. So if you don't have your picture, that is, I don't know what to say. Can you tell me why you don't have your picture? Like, did you lose it? Did you not submit a picture?
Greg, I think he has the entire art kit already. He has the
Okay.
pictures. He has all the parts. He just needs to put it together, but that can be something
Well,
you guys
Jaden
do
does, but
offline.
somebody else in the chat was saying they have no picture. So Jacob, I have the kit with no picture. So how did that happen? Did you take pictures out or? So here's the thing, what you guys should maybe do, and so I'm going to put my my email in here, and if you need a picture, email me, okay, and I'll send it to you. I have a staff meeting at IVA High School this afternoon, but I'll send it to you after the meeting, probably this afternoon or early evening. And
we can't email or get emails from outside
websites. So how should we do that? Is anybody
Greg, I want you to not worry about, we'll get to the students here that haven't done it later.
Okay.
And I'll put up the IVA email address so they can send the request to me, and then I'll forward them to you. Because
great, you guys.
enough students are also ready for the coloring part. And
Okay.
I jumped the gun and did the coloring, and
Let's see yours.
Well, I emailed it to you if you want to pull it up, but I didn't know what I was doing with the coloring, so I can all the techniques you're already showing are pretty darn awesome.
I don't think, you know, it's almost like a paint by number, right? Mm-hmm. So let me see, did you email it to me at IVA or my?
Yeah, at IVA.
Okay, let
Here.
me grab and let me call that up because I'd love to see that. Thank you for being brave and venturing. How did you think it turned out?
Well, you'll have to see, because like I said, I really could have used your advice on coloration and before I did it.
Okay, this is Julia's account. Okay, let's take a look here and then we can keep rolling. Okay. That's fabulous. Are you
Just share
kidding me?
share your screen if you don't mind.
Am I not sharing it?
Nope, not
Yeah,
right now.
let me share my screen. That's fantastic. Great example too. I'm glad you got that there. Here we go. Okay, can you guys all see this?
Yes.
What did you use, Gina?
Colored pencils.
Is this all colored pencil, the whole thing?
Yes.
I love it. I love how you stylized all this stuff. That's fantastic.
If you want to see the next one, that's the original. And I just didn't know what to do with the whole fur coat. So I left
Yeah,
the,
no, I love what you did with it. And there they are together, your thing and then the translation. Wow, that's wonderful. Nice work.
thank you.
Yeah, looks like you're really pushing the pencil down here. Like it's a little more saturated down here, huh?
Hmm. So that's why I'm saying, like, I would love for you to continue with teaching us how to use pencils and
Cool.
markers.
Cool. Well, let me stop sharing here and get back to this other thing. And here's this. So I put this color on in marker, and I'm going to take a color to top coat it, like so it gets a little bit different color. And I love doing this. It's one of my favorite techniques because you can really get busy with the marker and cover some area, and then you can tint it a little bit with these. Since I put it on in marker, I really don't have to grind this colored pencil the way I might normally. And I also stay open to possibilities while I'm doing this. So for example, I like that color fading like that. In my picture here, it doesn't do it in this picture, but in this picture, I faded this. I put a little black to blue and changed the colors a little bit. So, you know, it's an expressive self-portrait, right? So there's no reason you can't feel like you can do some things that are a little outside of the ordinary. I'm still in that one box, but I am gonna try and do a little bit of weird blending in there. Cool, I like it. So my next color, I'm gonna jump onto something that goes with this purple and this green. Okay, so pick the colors you like. Here's the thing about color. There's no quick or easy answer with color. There's all kinds of color theory, but really color is all about emotion and what you like. We all have personal preferences. So it's okay to go there. You're not going to ever feel like, oh, this is 100% correct because you're just trying it out. In fact, some of these colors I changed a little bit. I put a lot of yellow back on top of this because it wasn't quite yellow green enough. So I grinded a yellow colored pencil on top of it at the end. I also did on this, it was too bright red. So I covered it with a light pink color that knocked it back a little bit. So I'm going to find this color or something like it. I'm going to make it, I think, since I've only got these 10 pencils, I'm going to work with these guys now and just try and make this kind of brownish, purplish color myself. And when I mix colors, usually I put the first one on lightly. Like you can see the little white dots through it. And that's okay because I know I'm going to put another color on it. And that's kind of brownish. Okay, I can roll with that. And I want it to be more purplish. So I'm going to put a little pinky purple on top of it. And this one, I'm pressing down a little bit harder so that it takes what they call the tooth out of the paper. And I like that color. And that's a color I can't reach for a colored pencil and grab and say, there it is. I had to make that color, right? So even though that has very little to do with this gray, it matches in value. Does that make sense? Can I get a uh-huh?
Yes.
Huh?
Does anybody is anybody have a question about that? Are you doing okay with that? Is it
Could I
worth-
do this later and just watch a YouTube video? I'll do this, please.
Yeah, cool. That's a good. And sometimes, you know, just put something relaxing on television. I hate to say it like that, but I enjoy, you know, if I have something a long time to color, it feels like a big job. I like to have a little bit of company. So I watch a lot of the series of things when I go to my studio. I watched all of Ozark in about 2 weeks. Okay, so I'm going back with the black.
Really quick.
Yes.
On the picture that I'm using, the printout picture that we traced it off of,
Yeah.
does all of the black on the picture have to be black on our picture?
Well, it doesn't have to be, because, you know, you're the artist, you have some freedom. Are you thinking of the only challenge that happens is if you change that black to, say, pink? That could be problematic for showing, you know, the roundness of your face, right? Because it's like light to dark in the shadows. What are you thinking for changing the black?
I wasn't sure. I was just wondering because there's like a lot of black on my face. So I was just wondering, like, I think it would look cool if I changed it to like a brighter color, but I wasn't sure if that would be problematic.
You know, I think it might be a little bit problematic, but, you know, here's the thing. It might look super cool also. Sometimes if you shift the color completely and you're like, as long as you're consistent in the shapes, you put that same color in all the black shapes, you're going to get some kind of really cool, weird, you know, maybe not look illusionistic anymore, but it's expressionistic, you know?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. I can understand not wanting to fill your face with a bunch of black, like just a big black shape. Some of the things merged together. They were hard to separate into colors and stuff. But you can see I'm trying to push down on my black and keep those edges really sharp. I will often go around and outline the shape before I do it if I know I'm going to grind the pencil in there. There we go. And just keep going here. And let me show you a little bit of a bigger blend. Somebody was talking about changing the black there for a second. So maybe you change the black, but maybe the black becomes a variety of multicolors that are dark. So I'm just trying to very gently create a blending kind of technique in this area. And I slightly changed the direction of my colored pencil. That's how I kind of get away from having a bunch of lines in it. And eventually I usually end up doing little circles to smooth it out. And that's a pretty smooth blend going so far, wouldn't you say? Not too shabby. And now I'm going to throw another color on top of that and blend it the other direction. And it will work its way into that black. So what's the other color? You guys tell me, what color should I blend that into? Because it could be anything. blue. Excellent suggestion. Let's see how that would work. So I'm going to take my dark blue. And I saw somebody asking about this, the kneaded eraser, right? Before you start, last week, a lot of you got to this step. You can lighten your lines up. Probably should have done this before I started coloring. But you really don't need your lines to be very dark, just dark enough to see them. So I'm going to start with this blue and try and go the other direction and blend this black into the blue. And again, this is where you can get creative. You don't have to do exactly what your portrait says, other than probably keep the shapes. And since I've got that smoothly put down already, it's going to easily blend on top of the black and make a nice transition there. And I'm sure you guys have done this already, or you can feel it like while I'm drawing, there's like an edge, like a flat side being created on my colored pencil. And I keep that flat side down. Seems like it's easier, it's smoother to work with. Okay, it's gonna get a little darker here. So there's two colors. And I think it needs to get even darker. I'm going to push down as hard as I can on this top now and see how that goes. So you can see I did the blend very slowly initially and created the blend, but now I can push a little harder because I kind of see where it is. And there it is going into the black here. And of course, when I get this done, I can always go back with the black if I need to in the other direction. And they kind of smooth each other out. I love getting all that little white stuff, that white paper out of there. There we go. There's a little blend. Black into blue. Anybody trying a blend right now? I'm going to add even another color in there. Put a little bit of this in there. Since it is an expressionistic portrait, I want to make this a little bit purpley in between. When I teach this project on the college level, I used to teach them blue, blue, blue. Excellent. We used to make them really big, and they would do them with watercolor and crayon and oil pastel, and they were more expressionistic. They weren't so realistic. And they would do lots of things like this, which you're welcome to as well. If you find it to be fun and a cool thing, you know, I'm kind of creating some other color opportunities here with the edges. I'll just outline that in magenta, right? And this other one needs to be green. Start putting these shapes in. Ooh, I like that green next to the red.
Question: Is it okay if I listen? Sorry, is it okay if I listen to music while doing this?
Absolutely. You know, headphones maybe, so that we don't hear it as well. But I don't think I ever work in the studio without any music going. It's sometimes if I listen all day, I'll have a little silence, but I love working to music. So, so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to just get a little creative. Standard approach, you could do what we were just showing, fill in the shapes nice and solid, or you can put blends in them, or you can find reasons to, you know, put outlines around things. That's a little bit too intense for my taste, so I'm not going to do that.
Problem.
Yes.
I don't have tape.
No tape at all in the house?
No.
Period?
No.
So that is a bit of a challenge because you definitely need tape. Got any Post-its?
No. I don't have any school supplies.
Yeah.
at all.
Masking tape, duct tape, nothing like that.
Let me go look again. I'll be right back.
Yeah, that, it doesn't matter what kind of tape it is. So I'm going to cut loose a little bit and get a little more creative rather than a little standard, which means I'm going to start putting some fun touches on this thing that really aren't in the picture. I like that. I like how that breaks that up. And next color, green. This is kind of a green, but I'm going to make this a little redder. I like this redder next to that green. Okay, so this is a green here. So, I'm doing this in small pieces and I'm changing colors, but I highly recommend you not do that. That you really, if you get the green and you've determined that this green goes here in this color choice, I would say go around and put that everywhere you see the green and then move on to your next color. It gets really confusing to go at it one little color at a time. I'm just doing it because I don't have a full face here. I'm just kind of demoing this little section. Does that make sense? I think you can imagine how like confusing it could possibly get if you leave some shapes blank and they're bouncing around a little bit. So, just be your own best friend on that process. Go. And then I'm gonna jump back down to my purple here, which was this one. No, it was brown and then purple. So that's the trick too, is like I'm already questioning, since I just did this one by itself, I don't really remember how I started. So it's tricky. I know I started with a brown, but I could have forgotten that. So I'm kind of really encouraging you to do the whole shape, the whole color throughout the whole picture, and then move on to the next one. Okay. Is everybody excited about going back to the movies this coming weekend? Everything opens this next weekend, right? Theaters, all that good stuff. Okay, there's my brown. I put it in lightly, so I'm gonna now go on top of it with this pink and make that little unique color. Whatever, mauve, I guess you would call that. Okay, I think I threw a little red in there too, just for fun. This color outline, there we go. Ooh, I like that. That color is not on there, but boy, it's a nice little pop of color. Blend it into it a little bit too. Ooh, now we're looking kind of psychedelic here, but I like that color.
I can't find any tape at all. I literally looked everywhere. Can't find it.
So that's just something you have to get from somewhere somehow, some tape. It's kind of hard to not, I'll just say this. Can you think of any creative solution to hold your paper in place without it moving?
My hand.
I can't think of one. I was thinking Post-it notes. Maybe you could put 3 Post-it notes over it and fold them, and pinch them really hard. Ooh, a chip clip. Brilliant. Paper clip. Pins.
Glue?
These are great ideas. Do you have a paper clip?
Yeah. Actually.
Paper clip is a fabulous idea.
Okay.
That's a good idea too.
Let me look for this.
hopefully your drawing will start to make sense to you. Like, you know, it just looks like a jumble of shapes right now, I'm sure, but hopefully it'll start to have some logic to it and feel like, oh, okay, this is, I can see my face in there. We're getting close.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Do we have to finish doing all the black first before we can start? Or can we do part of the black and move on?
Do you know, my brain has a hard time tracking that. If you don't, then you can do it any way you want.
Uh-huh.
You know, my recommendation is do all the black just to get all that done. My recommendation is literally to do each color
Mm-hmm.
one at a time, but you don't have to do that.
Okay.
You know, if you can track it and you feel like you won't get lost in there, you may want to do something that makes it more interesting for yourself, right? To jump to another color. It gets kind of boring doing one color for a long time, right? So whatever it takes you to keep pushing through, then that's the right choice.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Sometimes I go into the studio and I have the best intentions to get all this work done, and I just can't seem to focus. So I end up priming canvases or cleaning, sweeping, straightening up, because that's like where my head is at that moment. So, you know, you got to get your head in the right space to do these things. So I'm going to try this a little differently. I'm going to, that looks like a skull nose. I'm going to put a crazy blend inside of here so you guys can see the variety, how crazy you can go with your blends. And when I say crazy, I mean just a variety of colors. And I highly recommend, if you're doing blending and any kind of colored pencil work, that you do it slowly. That you really build it up slowly so you don't get all those lines. You know, if I went at this thing like this and get these lines, you know, that's, you're never going to quite get rid of that texture and stuff. So you want to get this stuff all happening from the beginning, nice and smooth. And I'm going to have this brown coming in from the corner. And I'm going to have this red coming in from this side. And this is a perfectly legitimate approach to this project as well. You can change colors inside of it. I've had people completely abandon the values and just go nuts on
I
the
found a
page.
chip clip.
Yeah, excellent. Not a paper clip?
No.
Do you have just one chip clip?
Yes.
You know, I think that'll do, dude. You'll just have to be really careful that your page doesn't move. Is it a tight chip clip? Like, will it really hold the two pieces together?
The three pieces, yeah.
Together? Okay, as long as it doesn't move, because you know you don't want to drive yourself nuts starting it and then have it shift and have the lines not line up.
Yeah.
Any of you guys want to come in Saturday from 12 to 6 to my studio? I'm happy to help you with any of this stuff or show you in person or whatever. It can be a little tricky to zoom all this information. But you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of creating a combination of 3 or 4 colors in one blend. And that can be a beautiful effect. Hopefully you enjoy doing this. You know, it's not like math homework where you're rushing to get finished. So, you know, it's like, oh, let me get this done, check that box. Hopefully this is something, you know, that you actually get some kind of pleasure out of. Not everybody does, but, you know, everybody has something that they're creative with. You may not have found that thing yet. Cool. How are you guys doing? Has anybody got a coloring they want to show? Any like step they've done?
I've just been listening in and I just started like getting into it right now. So
Tabitha, I love your weekend plans. What's up? What's up? Up the street. Because they're drilling the street. No problem. They're putting new gas lines in our street, so we can't even park in our driveway today. Okay, so my wife is wondering if the car was stolen. Okay, so I'm going over this other color and going over it and trying to create this really smooth blend. And that kind of stuff to me is very exciting in colored pencil. It just looks cool. And then I'm going to throw a yellow on top of all of that over in this part anyway. Going to make that red kind of orange. Ooh, I like that. Kind of unifies it. Put a little bit on top of here. There. That's kind of cool. But not cool enough. A little more of this. Does anybody else have any other questions? Random questions? Not so random questions? Can somebody tell me where to get the very best cheeseburger in Long Beach? What do you think is the very best cheeseburger? Come on, I know you have feelings about that. MVPs. Ooh, good one. In-N-Out. I'm with the In-N-Out. Love In-N-Out burgers. What about Red Robin? Anybody ever have a burger from Red Robin?
Red Robin used to be my favorite restaurant. I used
I
to
don't.
love that place.
I remember going there. I just don't remember anything from it because the last time I went was like when I was 6 or something.
Are they still around? They still have them?
No idea.
Yeah, it's my brother-in-law's favorite burger, Red Robin. I don't know why. I guess they're fresh, right? Oops, my dog's trapped in here. Excuse me a second. Goodbye, Jack. Kiki dogs. Okay. How are you guys doing? Please inform us of where you like. What? Oh, mine. I'm gonna go with what I really want. You know where I really love is Chili's. They have these big fat burgers, and I have had some really good burgers at Chili's. Yeah, you go to a restaurant like that, you can get it done any way you like, right? Medium rare or whatever. My studio is next door to Noel's restaurant, so I've had burgers from there, and they're amazing. They're like in a category all their own. They're Kobe burgers, which is that really expensive meat. So really nice. I think those cows get massages during their lifetime to keep their meat tender. Okay, how are you guys doing? I'm gonna make that more yellow. Anybody get any coloring done today? You get your black done? I'd sure love to see. We only have about 20 minutes. Love to see where you're at. Anybody brave enough to sort of venture and get a little feedback on their picture? I know it's awkward. It can be embarrassing to share your artwork. I know that for a fact. And sometimes the things that you like are not the things others like, and some things that they like are not what you like about your work. Why do you hate black, Janice? You hate the color black?
In my thing, like at least half of it or more than half of it is black. And
Yeah.
so like you said to like I guess you said to like start off with one color.
Mhm.
And I just cannot. I'm just like sick of the color black. Finish like half.
It's like done with black, right? You're like overdone with black.
Janice, I was trying to figure out what color I was going to use, and more than half of the printout is black. And I was just like, I couldn't do that. So I just decided I'm not putting any black in my picture, and we're going to see how it goes.
Oh, I love it. Do you have a plan? Like, do you know what you're going to put in that shape or what color?
Well, I know for the black, I'm going to put in red just
Mhm.
because, I don't know. I thought it would look cool. So we'll see how the rest of it works.
I love it. You know, I thought it would look cool is probably the answer of, 90% of artists throughout history. I thought it would look cool is a perfectly legitimate answer. This ends at 12 o'clock, by the way. So if you have any questions or whatever, I'll be here till 12. There's a very famous artist in San Francisco. His name is Wayne Thiebaud, and he's a landscape painter, and he's about 90 something years old now. And he's known for his incredible color. And I'm going to put his name in the chat here in case you want to look him up. I think that's how it's spelled. And they asked him, how do you do this? How do you choose your colors? You've had a whole lifetime. You must have some philosophy or something you use. And he looked at me and goes, no, I just kind of look at my palette and I think, what looks good? What looks good? What looks good? And oddly enough, he doesn't like 9 out of 10 of his paintings. He only thinks 1 out of 10 of them really turn out great. So, even artists that are professionals and stuff are often turning out works that are failures so that they're getting to the next step in that process, learning something about the material. Can you think of any other field where failure is really important? Like it's an essential part of making art is that you fail constantly. Science is another great one, right? Like you have to fail in science, and it's not any knowledge lost. You gain knowledge by failing, right? You gain the knowledge of how not to do something. Ooh, cooking is a good one. I like that one. Bye, Tabitha. I know you got to go. Thank you. Thank you for politely saying goodbye and everything. Chocolate chip cookies were a mistake. Were they really? Like somebody actually bumped some chips into some cookie dough or something one day? I could see that happening. Play-Doh was a material they used to clean chimneys with, right? Oh, how funny. They're supposed to be chocolate cookies, but the chips didn't like melt and mix in. Gum was a mistake, I have no doubt. So were cinnamon instead of cumin. That's classic. My dad put chocolate frosting on his potatoes, thinking it was gravy once. And my wife just started laughing at him. And he took a bite and he goes, it's actually pretty good. And he finished them. That's my dad. Anything to get a sweet. So what's the story behind gum? I'd love to hear it. The guy who invented gum was trying to invent tire rubber and got so mad at him failing, he chewed on it and therefore it became gum. Brilliant. So the guy who invented the stuff, Play-Doh, they used to clean the insides of chimneys with it. And he had, I believe it was a niece or an aunt who worked in with kids, and she used to bring this stuff in and play with it, and kids would play with it. So they invented that. General Electric engineer named James Wright added boric acid to silicone oil and ended up inventing what became silly putty. Excellent. Before it was silly putty, it was nothing. Though it was elastic and bounced, it was sufficient as a rubber substitute and was put aside. Ooh, good comment, Aiden. Ancient people just chew on trees, and it was like gum. There was a gum tree too. And Slinky, the Slinky, the $4.99 toy, still one of the cheapest toys you can get. That was invented by an engineer who was trying to create these stabilizing coils in battleships. So when they're bouncing around, things would stay on the walls. And he dropped one of those coils and it fell down a stack of things. And he saw that, and they were invented. Slinkies. Took out a $500 loan, made $400 400 Slinkies. And they didn't sell it all until they set up a Christmas display at Gimbals, and he displayed them and showed how they worked, and they sold all 400 in 2 hours, and then they were off. Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce. That sounds like it was a mistake, doesn't it? Worcestershire. What's another mistake that turned into something awesome? Can you think of something? No, everyone. Worcestershire. I don't even think I'm saying it right. Worcestershire or something like that. Nachos. Are those a mistake? Here, tofu, nachos. Probably everything's an accident initially. Most things. I love it. Ooh, I like this orange. So this would be, this is a little more standard portrait I got here in terms of following the colors and staying in them. This is me cutting loose a little bit, right? And maybe you're a cut loose a little bit kind of person. Still kind of following the values, but I'm adding some touches of color where it feels like I can get away with it. Just because I'll take any excuse to put color in. Ooh, that looks gorgeous on top of that other color. I like this. Let's get a little orange in there. Again, anybody need to mail me something? Okay, most alcohols were accidents. Hot chicken sandwich, that still sounds like an accident. Here, I will put my studio address in the chat here. Okay. Okay. Come to my studio there. I have materials there as well. If you bring your stuff in, we can work on it together. If you're stuck on something, we get you past that. Really, my intention would be to get you something you really enjoy and really like out of this process.
I'm doing the black in mine, and it's taking forever.
How long have you been working on it?
Like, I don't know, a while.
Like the whole time we've been chatting this morning?
Not the whole time, but like probably half of it.
So, the artist I shared last time, this guy named Chuck Close, one of the things that's so impressive about him is his work ethic. His most famous quote is, lots of artists sit around and wait for inspiration, but the rest of us just go to work every morning. So, you know, inspiration, Picasso made the statement that inspiration has to find you working, right? And so his paintings take hundreds of hours. When he starts one, he knows he's locked in for a 300 or 400 hour ride on that painting. And I think there's a mentality that happens when you know you're in for a long ride, like as opposed to driving to the grocery store or driving across the country, right? You get your mindset in a little bit different kind of thinking. So if you can think about this as something that you're not trying to rush across the finish line, that doesn't require a deadline, it just requires that you pay it attention and that you pick it up and draw on it, then you probably really enjoy it a lot more. And I would suggest this: don't feel like it's a big, there's a lot of work to do on it. So don't feel like, oh man, there's so much to do. Give yourself 5 to 10 minutes at a time to work on it. Say 5-10 minutes a day. And usually what happens is at the end of that 5 or 10 minutes, you'll look at your watch and you realize it's a half an hour that's gone by. So, but do have some fun with it. Anybody have any other questions or anything they want to share? How your progress? I would just so love to see it. I'm starved for student artwork. Okay, I'm gonna go a little crazy, throw a little blue in here. Tilt that one a little bit. Like that. Okay. Is anybody doing the black and white one?
I'm doing the black and white.
Cool. And what materials are you using? Are you using markers, colored pencils, pencil?
I have graphite pencils.
Fabulous. And how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm not that far in because I'm just shading slowly, but
Yeah,
it's looking good.
good. You can still kind of see the forms and everything seems like you see the shapes easily.
Say that again?
You can see your shapes easily. Like it's tricky with pencil because you have, you know, you're basically using the same thing to make all the different values, right? So if you have a light value, they all have to be kind of the same light value, right? It's challenging, but I have no doubt you'll be able to do it.
Yeah, what makes it easier is just the different depths and the different hardness of the graphite pencils.
Oh yeah, you have a full range, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome. It really does make a big difference, doesn't it? Do you have any pencil stumps? You know, those like round up pieces of paper that are pointed, that are like blenders?
Yeah, I do.
Perfect. I'm so glad to hear you say that. Are you planning on using those in this, or?
Well, I think I'm gonna just not use them. It looks really cool how because all my strokes are straight.
Nice.
So, and because they're not all going in the same direction, I think they give it depth, which is cool.
Awesome. Good call. Yeah, and you never know, right? Until you see it, whether it needs this or that. There really is no categorical solution to anything in art, right? It's all a case by case study. I traced it, it all didn't show up on my other paper. Your paper, you traced it upside down is my guess, Jaden. My guess is the paper, the tracing paper was facing up. So in other words, this paper here was facing the wrong direction. if it was transferred onto the back of your picture, then you know it was like, you know, this was facing the back, right? But this needs to be facing down and then trace. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's hopefully that makes sense. I look like I'm starting a mustache here. So I'm gonna go ahead and give myself a big mustache, since it's just an example. My Mario portrait. Like that color. The ones I do with my college students, they often do this too. They'll put patterns and textures and things inside the shapes, which is another expression of creativity, if you like. It can get a little jumbled looking, but you know, jumbled looking is how some people want to be represented. Crunch. Okay. So I don't know if it's possible to get these back and get them into school. I know you're all taking pictures, but if I could have an exhibition of these publicly at my studio, I'd be happy to coordinate that. And maybe we could all kind of meet there on a Friday or something. But I'll have to chat with everyone about that. And you would have to finish your portrait. Okay. We just got about 5 minutes. Does anybody else have any questions about anything? Any thoughts they want to share? You're running into challenges at all? That's good.
I have a proposal, Greg.
Yes.
First of all, I want to thank you all for being here and doing this because it is a really, really cool thing. What I was going to suggest is if you are interested in having your completed portrait in the memory book as well as in exhibited in Greg's studio on a first Friday, turn in your portraits to IVA, your completed portraits, to the IVA office by April 30th, because that gives Greg a week before the exhibition and a week for us to take pictures of them and get them ready to put in the memory book. How does that sound?
What if you don't want
Nobody is required to put it in the memory book or make it part of a little exhibition at Greg's studio. If you want to do that, get it done by April 30th. I strongly suggest people do it anyway. And you could even write on the back your full address so we can make sure you get the picture back, even if we have to mail it or have you pick it up at school. But that's my suggestion, is that April 30th be the deadline for dropping it off at the school with your name clearly on the back. And if you want it in the memory book, only write memory book. If you're cool with it being both in the memory book and exhibited at Greg's studio, then don't put anything on it, and that's what we'll do. Does that sound reasonable?
What day is first Friday in May? Do you know?
First Friday is May 7th. So that's a week before that's April 30th. So that would give enough time. Yeah.
That sounds great. So so you guys can see, I'm also just having fun here, right? And trying patterns and textures and you know, I didn't exactly trace all the shapes and things, but what people respond to in artwork sometimes is really just the beauty of the color and the attention that you give it, right? It is a thing that you do have to stretch your patience on a little bit, which is why I recommend that you stretch it out over several work sessions. But come see me in the studio if you have any problem. I'd be happy to get you started and keep you going. Okay, so if nobody has any final comments, questions, or thoughts, I think I'll go ahead and end the meeting.
So this is due by April 30th, basically.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And due at the school by that date. Those of you who don't have pictures, Maya, I will check out whatever happened to yours, but I know I made it. I made it immediately and sent it right back. So I apologize if it didn't make it. Okay. Are we all good, you guys? Thank you so much for your attention. I know it's hard to sit through something so long like this, but I appreciate it. Okay. Dropping artwork off by April 30th. Excellent. Okay. All right, I think we're good, Miss Overholt.
So Greg, if you want to stay on after thank you again, everybody. You're welcome to keep working on these things. I'm sure they're going to be amazing.
Thank you so much. Bye. Have a
Thank you,
good
guys.
day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Brixton, how'd you do? Darn it, she's gone.